What's up, everyone? This is Kenya, and I am the creator of All Things Loop. And as you should know, Loop stands for Live It, Own It, Obtain It on Purpose. Okay, we're starting and we're continuing our 28 days of Black excellence. And I'm telling you, I'm excited about this because All Things Loop. We are putting purpose on display, and today is no other day. Like we're continuing it. Like we're doing our things, and we have Randy Bonds. How are you?
Hey, it has been way too long.
Way too
It's been
long.
like a good 10, 11 years.
It really has. We've been on each other since Action Mag days. When we was
Literally.
let me tell you, Randy, you remember when we when we went we had that event, and I think it was Shannon Brown and
Whew.
uh,
Monica,
yes. Do you
everybody.
remember that?
Yes, that's why I met so many. I met Misha Lay for the first time.
Yes.
Bro Timmy when he was young
Yeah.
and just an upcoming artist, and to see him now,
Right.
on all these different TV shows and films. I just ran into him for the first time in a couple of years, even at the
Wow.
house party screening next last week. I worked on the PR campaign for that, and he was in that film. And so it's just such
Wow.
a full circle moment to
It
just think
is.
about how many people I connected with back then as a young up and coming publicist, and to see
Yeah.
where so many of them are now, and even where I am now.
Yeah,
And where
absolutely.
you are. You're in a whole different city. None of us are in Chicago anymore.
Right. Right. But I'm glad to even have this conversation with you. Like you said, we've been knowing each other for a very long time. So this
Yeah.
is, this interview is kind of special to me. So let's talk about like just how you got started in the PR industry.
So I started off as a journalist
Yeah.
as a teenager. I was working for
Yeah.
Two Star Magazine, a teen publication in Chicago,
Absolutely.
just an after school program. And honestly,
Yeah.
it started off very vain. I always tell people, honestly speaking, I was just trying to make some money to go to college. And I found out some of my friends are working at this magazine and get paid to interview celebrities. I'm like, get paid to interview celebrities? Sign me up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why not? I
Right.
never planned on doing anything in PR. I always wanted to be in the entertainment industry as a performer growing up.
Yeah.
Never thought I'd be behind the scenes, but as you grow up and kind of lose your childlike faith just a little bit,
Yeah.
and you start to have insecurities and stuff, you shift your plans sometimes. And so
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of years, I shifted my plans and my intentions to fit my comfort zone. And I
Mm-hmm.
started to kind of retract and hide in the background. And I did such a great job at hiding in the background that I made a
Yeah.
career out of it. And I've been able to then become an advocate for so many others to make sure they didn't hide from their selves or their dreams like I did. But now I'm excited to kind of still do what I do as a publicist and expose the underexposed, while also taking the same advice I give to my clients and apply them to myself. And now to start to pour into some of the things I'd like to do, some of my own dreams and
Yeah.
goals and desires. So super excited to just see how my career in journalism led me to a career in PR. And now it's even taking me beyond that, because now a lot of the people that I met as journalists who I then became publicists
Mm-hmm.
for, friends with through that, I'm now featuring them on my podcast and interviewing
Wow.
them, and helping share their stories. And there's so many intimate stories that I know from the people I've connected with over the years, that now having a podcast and having a space for them to share stories that we've talked about in private, but now publicly,
Mm-hmm.
to inspire so many others is such a great, it's such an honor that people trust
Yeah.
me enough to share their stories, to hold on to their stories, and they allow me to use their stories for transparency to inspire others. So I'm super excited for just how my whole journey has unfolded.
Yeah, absolutely. I think PR is one of the most trusted, industries. And so if you are PR, you have so much information that, your clients want. And for someone to trust you in that manner is it's amazing.
100%, 100%. I don't take it lightly.
Yeah.
I have this quote I say when it comes to myself and the
Hmm.
content I create, and even just as I share my testimony with people, as I'm vulnerable with people, I say I want to tell my story without telling my business, and that's
Yeah,
what I
that's
do for
so
my clients.
good.
I have to be trusted to tell their story without telling their business, because you want to do a
Mm,
story on them, but I don't need you putting their business out there.
yeah.
So how do we chew the meat and toss the bones and give
Yeah.
them what's essential for their storytelling purposes, while still, it's protecting you and not exploiting you.
Yeah.
And now learning to do that with people who just trust me, even just in
Hmm.
conversation with personal information. I want to make sure that I always make them feel safe enough to share their
Yeah.
story, knowing that I'm gonna only share their story and the lessons learned, and I will never, expose their business.
Absolutely. So what's your definition of Black excellence?
That's a great question because on one end, I want to be like Easton, be like, I'm voting for everybody black, right? But on the other end, I've always said I'm voting for Black excellence. I literally say that,
Yeah.
and it's not to discriminate against anybody who
Mhm.
doesn't um, meet whatever my standard of Black excellence is. Because I
Yeah.
am not the person who gets to decide what is and isn't excellent, you know.
Absolutely.
But I could decide what I do and don't align with, and what I
Mhm.
do and don't support, you know. And
Yeah.
so, for me, Black excellence is anything that's authentically, culturally representative of who we are
Mhm.
as a culture, as a people. And it's innovation. It is
Yeah.
pioneering. It
Mhm.
is like it's always next level because we're trendsetters.
Yes, we
We're
are.
simply trendsetters. We set
We
trends.
are.
We create trends effortlessly without trying. We
Mhm.
just exist, and by us existing, it creates trends.
I love
It
the quote.
creates
I love the quote. I love us. Like I
yes.
love us. I love that quote.
Everything about from our hair to our body shape to
Yes.
our style to our soul and the way we sing to the way we
Mhm.
perform to the way we entertain to the way we play sports to the way we create inventions and our strategies. It's monumental.
Yeah.
You know, I'm blessed enough to work on a 1619 project by Nicole Hannah Jones and produced by Oprah. And it's so inspiring when you think about all that we have done as a people in this country. And though we
Yeah.
have been disadvantaged, though we have been a minority, though we have
Yeah.
been taken advantage of and abused and misused and slaughtered and so many things, we continue to break new grounds and break new records and set the tone and set standards that people will try to replicate but can never
Mhm.
duplicate. And so I think Black excellence is just being authentically Black and
Yeah.
unapologetically Black and confident in your Blackness, knowing that it's only hated because of
Mhm.
envy and hatred, but that it's really loved and admired by so many, which is why we see so many of our trends and our
Mhm.
styles often replicated. My friend Andrea Lewis, who many would know from Degrassi and
Mhm.
Cadet Kelly, she did an amazing docu-series called The Black Beauty Effect,
Mhm.
celebrating the impact that the Black beauty pioneers have created on the industry and how it's not just a movement for Blacks, but again,
Yeah.
the trends that Black people have set have created an entire movement that's created an entire effect on cultural identity, on cultures, period. And so I think again that Black excellence is us being authentically us because yeah,
We dope. We
it
dope.
works already as it is. We don't have to try
Yeah.
too hard. We don't have to do too much. It works for itself, which is why again we face so much of the turmoil we face from those who unfortunately don't have what we have. And
Yeah.
it's not to say that what we have is better.
Mhm.
Um, but when you're not satisfied with what you have, then you covet what somebody else have, right?
Oh, Randy, that's some stuff. That's some good stuff. So I know you've been in PR for a very long time, and we're talking about Black excellence. Um, how have you dealt with, things? I know it may not have always been easy for
Mhm,
you in PR. So how have you dealt with it? I know that I've seen you may have came back home for a little while, then you went
mhm.
back and forth. So how have that been for you just continuing in this industry?
You know, I had to learn who I was aside from what I did.
Yeah,
I
that's
had to learn that what
good.
I do is not who I am because that's what
Yeah.
this industry will kind of lead you to believe.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of times in this industry, you're defined by what
Mhm.
you do and what you can do for somebody.
Yeah.
And I've decided that I don't like being defined by that anymore. And it's not that I
Mm.
can't do, but I want to be mindful of what I do and who I do it for. I only want to do it
Yeah.
while I'm genuinely celebrated and genuinely appreciated. I don't want to do it just because you have a need of me and you see me as disposable. Because
Yeah.
if I am, then go find somebody else then, who don't mind
Right.
being disposed or who's
Right.
fine with that transactional business. For
Yeah.
me, I want to firmly believe in what I invest into. And I say invest because even if I'm getting paid, I'm still investing time, energy,
Absolutely.
ideas, resources, strategies. So I understand that I am a brand, I am a business, and I can itemize my services. I can itemize my worth and ultimately decide,
Mhm.
okay, well, this part of me and this skill asset is worth this. But if you want this skill as well, it's going to cost this. And if you want to bring
Mhm.
in this connection and this resource as well, it's going to cost that, you know? And so
Yeah.
learning to value myself first, learning
Yeah.
to stop trying to put others first in a people pleasing type of way,
Mhm.
learning to stop trying to be the chameleon that can be all things to everybody, but a
Yeah.
master at no things. um, I decided that my mental health was more important. My peace is more
Yeah.
important. Like for me, success is being able to be at peace, not
Yeah,
having
absolutely.
the most money, and I want money. Don't get me wrong, because I want to pay my
Right.
bills and I want to invest in
Right.
myself and do the creative things I want to do and so many other things.
Mhm.
Uh, but however, it's not worth the
Mhm.
hell I go through if I settle for something that doesn't have my name on it, that I'm not aligned.
Yeah.
I don't want that because I've done that and I've seen what it's like to put myself
Mhm.
in places that I don't belong. And I know what
Yeah,
that feels like. And I remember how empty I felt in places where I'm like, why am I here in this room? This isn't for
absolutely.
me. Doesn't mean I can't exist in this room, but do I feel aligned? Do I feel at
Mhm.
peace? Do I feel desired and loved
Mhm.
here? I don't. So why am I here? And I have no problem removing myself from places that no longer suit me. And that's something I
Yeah.
pray about daily. I said, God, continue to align me with what's for me today, right now, in this moment,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
disconnect me with everything that no longer serves me.
Yeah.
And it's not nothing wrong with it because it can. It's not like that thing failed because it didn't serve me. I'm not meant to be in fourth grade forever. So I do my time there and
Wow.
I move on. And I thank Mrs. Johnson or whoever for teaching me well. And I go on my way. They don't dislike me because they moved me up to the next class. And they also don't hate me if they kept me there. What
Mm.
happens with me there is up to me. My
It's
progress
all up
or
to
lack of
you.
progress is up to me. And I've really learned to take responsibility for my actions or the lack thereof.
Mhm. Absolutely. I love it. I absolutely love it because it's putting the focus back on yourself, saying, I
Yes.
am in control of it. Like
Mhm.
what happens to me, I can't blame my mom, I can't blame my father. I have to
Mhm.
absolutely make that responsibility mine. So I absolutely
Mhm.
love it.
And that's something
Um,
I had to learn even recently. Like,
yeah.
starting to unpack the things that align my mom and I and my dad and I,
Mhm.
the things we had in common. And things that they probably needed to heal from that they didn't even know they needed to heal from until I was able to say, "Hey, I'm
Yeah.
dealing with this thing, and I understand it because I've seen you deal with this too.
Mhm.
And this is how I'm dealing with it." And now our parents are learning from us.
Yeah.
They say eventually you get to raising your parents. So I won't say I'm
Mhm.
raising my parents, but it's
But
great that
they're
my students are in
understanding
a
what's
position.
going on.
Yes,
Yeah.
where they can understand what's going on, and I can understand what's going on enough to know that we are both humans. Neither
Mhm.
of us came with a manual. I don't get a manual as a child that tells me how to
Absolutely
be a great
not.
child. My parent doesn't get a manual telling them how to be a great parent. So,
So give grace.
yes, you have to give grace because you see that they're humans like you who have their own
Yeah.
human experience and still have their own dreams and desires. And so, for me, learning what things that we had in common that I didn't like, I wanted to
Mhm.
change and fix and address. And then the things about them that I do love and appreciate, I lean into more. I realize
Mhm.
more. I'm like, ooh, that's Keena Bonds. Oh, that's Randy Mason. Like I'm seeing
Yeah.
responsibility on my parents. And sometimes it's
Yeah.
something that makes me laugh. And sometimes I'm like, ooh, okay, I need to heal. I need to grow.
Mhm.
I need to deal with that.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. So we're talking about just looking up to people. Who have you looked up to that you can say that defines Black excellence?
Hmm. Now that's a great question.
Mhm.
Huh? Who do I look up to? That changes so much over the years.
Yeah.
But if I can say off top of my head, I'm gonna name a couple of people.
Okay.
First off, Shonda Rhimes,
Okay.
Black excellence.
Absolutely.
Because there's the representation for us and the
Yeah.
inclusivity um, of us. But there's also the inclusivity of so many other cultures,
Mhm.
um, sexual orientations,
Mhm.
spiritual backgrounds, and
Yeah.
everything. She just makes sure representation is at the forefront of all she does.
Mhm.
And I love how she has created a platform for dope creatives to
Yeah.
not only have a platform to do what they do, but if you pay attention to the credits on her shows, so many of the actors have become producers or
Yeah.
they're directing and they're expanding their skills so that when they leave her camp, they're better than they were when they came
Mhm.
in. And so I think she's a great example of Black excellence.
Mhm.
Another one I'm going to highlight is a few directors that stand out to me. And Zinga Stewart, who
Mhm.
literally moves me to tears in everything she does. I can identify Zinga Stewart directed episode because I'm in tears by the end. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Zinga, what are you? You're around here somewhere because there's water falling from my eyes, so I know you have to
Right.
do with this. And she has her touch on everything. Same with Pete Chapman. He's another one
Mhm.
who just pays attention to the visual details of what he does. He really plans out his shoots, and so I'm so inspired by his work. And then beyond that, on the music front, I'm gonna name a couple of people. Then I'm done.
Okay. Okay.
Donald Lawrence and Kirk
All right.
Franklin are two of my faves, but specifically Donald. Well, Kirk because he has done what nobody else has done in gospel music,
Yeah.
and made it mainstream and taken it into arenas. Though he was criticized before by his own people, by his own
Mhm.
culture, by his own, uh, by people who also claim to believe what he believed, but again criticized the way in which he did things.
Yeah.
Um, I think he has defied odds, and then I also say Donald Lawrence because he's just king of excellence when it
Yes,
comes
he
to
is.
making sure that the music he creates is spiritually sounding, but also sonically appealing.
Mhm.
Like, and it's the perfect marriage of both worlds. It's
Yeah.
like I'm going to get my spiritual food, but I'm also going to get that ear milk and honey that I need as well, so it goes down smoothly.
Yeah.
So those are just a few, and then I'm going to shout out one of my friends who a lot of people are going to know by name lately if they already don't, but Steve Epting.
Okay.
He is the epitome of Black excellence to me as well.
Mhm.
He did a vision board some years ago. He's like a little brother to me that I grew up with in Chicago, and we did music together. He did a vision board called The Year of the Tour
Mhm.
on there, and he booked Beyonce out of nowhere.
Wow.
Didn't even audition for Beyonce, and booked Beyonce, and then helped with the Kanye West Sunday Service Choir, and from there. He has done his own artistry. He has created a platform for so many of his friends that helped so many of them rise. And seeing how his approach to this industry, he's one of the people who was coming with a pure heart. He's a vocal contractor. So
Mhm.
he's hired to bring singers into the rooms, into the studios, into live performances and stuff. But it's not just making sure that the vocalists know their part, it's making sure the vocalists are treated well, that they're
Yeah.
respected, that their time is respected, that they're paid and paid on time and paid fairly. And that takes a different type of leadership to really advocate for people. Because a lot of times in the industry, it's easy to succumb to powers that are bigger than you
Mhm.
because their name is bigger and their brand is bigger and they are considered the epitome of success.
Yeah.
But to be able to see a star as human and say, hey, I get it, you're human, just like me. But there's still responsibilities here. And
Yeah.
respectfully, we still have business to do. It takes
Yeah.
a lot to do that. And so I shout out Steve for just being an advocate for his people, for
Yeah.
always representing Black excellence in every room he walks in. And just really to see how he came to LA, not necessarily with a full out plan, but
Mhm.
he's exceeded his expectations and his goals so far. Having been on some of the biggest stages in the world with some of the biggest artists from Beyonce to Kanye to Demi Lovato to Common, Tyga, Snow Allegra, and the list goes on. And so to just see another young Black boy from Chicago come out to LA and figure it out and get to do it on such a scale, on such a level, I'm inspired by it. So I'm grateful to even be able to name some Black excellence within reach for me, friends.
Yeah.
There's so many more that I can name, but for the sake of time, I want to stick with those ones.
No, absolutely. I love it. So how can people follow you? How can they support you, collaborate with you?
Yeah, I'm everywhere. Randy C Bonds at Randy C Bonds on every platform I'm on. RandyCBonds. Even my website is randycbonds.com or www.rcbondspr for public relations.com. You can find me there. Instagram, Facebook, everything. Randy C Bonds.
Okay. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Randy. I appreciate you so much. I'm also going to reach out to you because I am going back to school for public relations and I
Nice.
know yeah, and I know no, I know you're going to be able to help me. So I'm about to like
Yes.
be bugging you all the time like, Randy, what should I do? Can I do
You better
this?
be sick of me.
Right, exactly. So definitely prepare to be sick of me. I am going to be worrying you. But thank you so much for
Yes.
doing this for me. I appreciate it.